Hakeem Robinson, who performs under the name Ksoo, murdered Charles McCormick, who went by the name Lil Buck.
You're on charge of murder premeditated in the first degree. Bond said at none.
Safety expert Ken Jefferson says it's not unusual for fathers and sons to commit crimes together.
In this case, in addition to being father and son, both are reputed members of a local gang.
I'm supposed to have hits.
This one hits kind of hard. So for those of you who might not know, Ksoo got locked up back in 2020 along with his dad. For a long time, there's been a legal battle going on because a lot of people think that both Ksoo and his dad are innocent. Somehow though, it appears that maybe Ksoo and his dad might not be as close as it seems. According to recent reports, it sounds like Ksoo's dad is about to flip on his own flesh and blood. Of course, Youngeen Ace, one of Ksoo's closest friends, is not happy about it. See, there's a bit of rivalry going on in Jacksonville, and it turns out that Ksoo ended up a victim of it. Now luckily, he didn't end up dead like some of his ops reportedly did. He's just been accused of taking a few enemies out. One of those enemies would be cause of his downfall in 2020, regardless of whether he was actually involved or not. On January 15th, an off-duty police officer claims he spied Ksoo and his father creeping around a car. From there, the officer said he saw the two of them commit a drive-by on another local rapper who goes by the name Lil Buck. He said he followed the car until they eventually crashed and dipped out of the car. From there, they allegedly broke into some random house and held the residents hostage while they changed clothes so they could off without getting caught. Ksoo got hit with a second-degree charge, and his dad was charged as an accomplice. Later on in the investigation, they also decided they were going to get Ksoo on the death of Bibby, who Youngeen Ace and others have called out and disrespected in their raps. His real name was Adrian Gaynor, and to make things just a little more complicated, he was Fulio, the head ops' younger brother. When warrants finally came out for Ksoo and his father, they made sure to note the fact that Ksoo was made some posts on social media mocking the deaths of both Bibby and Lil Buck. Specifically, according to the warrants, he posted a video of the deceased, Charles McCormick, rapping. The post video contained a caption, "Bye bye," with hand-waving emojis. Hakeem Robinson, Ksoo, later posted a video to his story which depicted Hakeem Robinson at a nail salon receiving a pedicure with the caption, "Kill a dude, then go get my toes done." During this whole investigation, Ksoo's sister's been actively campaigning for her brother, doing her best to prove his innocence. That stands in stark contrast to the way their dad has handled the whole thing though. She's been all over Instagram, at the courthouse, and begging bloggers and journalists to interview her so she can explain the situation as she sees it. Her handle is Keisha.la, and just one look at her profile shows you how committed she is to getting her brother out of the slammer. She's posted saying, "The only time I'll speak is to stand for something. We've been dealing with what is now starting to feel and also look like a profiling identity case. I would like to shed light where most people usually point out first, which is Ksoo music career. The reason why I would like to direct your attention there first, simply because most of our favorite rappers will be in jail for the same thing. So I would like to start there and stop there. Please stop the music narrative. What do we do next? The evidence says no. The witnesses says no. Actually, 62 witnesses says no. The officers and eyewitnesses says no. Oh, the body scanned he had to submit to evidently says no. The judge granted bond. Did the judge say no? The snitches, the confidential informant says no. But you know who says yes? Asa Cooper, who is on recording directing a man how to point out another man on the stand and who allows it. JSO in Duval County, 4th Judicial Circuit. People in the comments came out to support her in the quest for her brother's freedom. One commenter said, "There's nothing like a black woman that knows how to speak proper grammar when needed. Baby girl, you did that." Another commenter came around supporting her saying, "I love you. You are awesome. Definitely need to be a lawyer." The person she's referring to, Asa Cooper, is a man who works for the courts in Jacksonville. She claims he's been acting in a legal manner at the courtroom specifically so he could put Ksoo behind bars. She also claims that the description of the guy who the cops saw at the scene of the crime bears no resemblance to Ksoo, and that makes the situation much more complicated. The guy at the scene of the crime was apparently much smaller than Ksoo, since Ksoo's 6 feet 2 inches tall and about 200 pounds. That's not really a hard build to mistake. That being said, the only time is going to tell how this thing goes. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum from Ksoo's sister is his father. Since Ksoo's father was arrested for driving the vehicle, it would make sense that he gets put away too, right? But blood is thicker than water, so he's giving his all to get his son his freedom, right? Well, no, you'd be surprised. Actually, in reality, there's talk that Ksoo's dad is going to flip on his son. Abdul Robinson Sr.'s attorney recently said that the trial should be pushed back because Abdul wanted to testify as a witness against Ksoo. The judge didn't see any problem with that and decided to allow the motion. We'll have to see what he actually says, but based on the Instagram posts he's been making, it's not looking too good for Ksoo. While a lot of people think that Ksoo's dad should stick up for his son, he has other thoughts on the subject. Ksoo's dad made a post saying, "If it was me and my daddy, shocker RIP, in a situation like this, I wouldn't have been free my daddy a long time ago, no matter matter what my consequences would have been, no justification needed, especially if he's a good, great daddy, that part. He could do more for me out of jail than in jail prison. Who leave their daddy in jail to rot, especially when you know he innocent? I would have been stood up and said my daddy ain't got f***ing thing to do with nothing. You dudes and is out in a free world, talk that talk out there until it's time to walk that walks facing that life sentence. Free good, great dads. While pretty much everyone was wondering how this case was gonna go, I don't think anyone expected things to go down like this. There are a few problems with the way Ksoo's dad is approaching this whole thing. I mean, first off, sure, maybe you were a good dad, chances are you weren't though. This is the thing, Ksoo's dad used to run with gangs just the same way Ksoo does. Ksoo literally grew up watching his dad do the same kind of things both of them are in jail for now. Secondly, Ksoo is much younger than his dad. If his dad had any regard for his son and wasn't just being selfish, there's no way he'd be acting the way he is now. Ksoo is still basically a kid, while his dad is a whole grown-ass man. And now he's acting like he shouldn't be locked up while he's still wishing that on his son? I don't need to tell you how messed up that is. And finally, the most simple part of all of this, that is your son, bro. This is a kid you raised from birth. It was your job to make sure your son didn't end up at a spot like this, and you failed. That's why both of y'all are in prison. Of course, you gotta respect your elders and all that, but what kind of father would forsake his own kids' freedom just so they can be free? The post was eventually taken down, but it didn't take long before tons of celebrities were chiming in to share their opinions on the whole thing. One of the biggest celebrities to speak on the whole thing was Boosie. He had absolutely no love for Ksoo's dad in the situation in the post he made. Initially, he just posted, "You gave him life, don't take his life, come on man." After that, he made an even longer post in the caption to detail the situation and how it was hitting him. He said, "Please don't do this, bro, don't start this wave, please. You gave him life, don't take his life. Them people you are telling for are laughing at you over dinner. I can hear them. We making that dude turn his own flesh and blood. Haha. Go look at your son, baby. Pictures. Think about the good times. Think about your grandkids before you make this decision. Don't be selfish. Make them people do their job and trust in God. Somebody get this to Ksoo dad." The situation gets more complicated when we consider the fact that Ksoo might be innocent in at least one of the incidents, especially if the whole thing about his description not matching is true. So if Ksoo's dad does flip, how can we even be sure he's actually telling the truth? He might just be taking the easy way out for nothing and putting his own son's freedom in jeopardy just so he can get out of prison and back home. He did mention how he could do more for his son from outside of jail than he could when he's locked up, and that's probably true, but at the same time, if you snitch on him, what chance does he have? That brings us to another statement and comment on the whole situation, none other than the Youngeen Ace himself. He is not happy with Ksoo's dad trying to rat out his own son the way he is. He said, "People say anything to get out of their own situation. Ksoo innocent." Ksoo's attorney also made a post saying, "Just as I predicted, they will stop at nothing to convince this innocent man. I don't care if it's his own father. He even can't make Ksoo smaller to fit description and video." But what do y'all think about all this though? Is Ksoo innocent or guilty? Is his dad for real about to come out and rat on him? Is Ksoo's dad right for snitching on his own flesh and blood? Let us know what you think down below in the comments, and don't forget to keep it RIZZLE. Of course, if you like this one, go ahead and peep this one next.